agreement and it specifically says, then yes, you do have to still stick with that fund. But that aside, you can choose what super fund you're in. What that has meant is that all of the super funds have been competing with one another about, you know, what can they do to try and attract more members. And one of the things that they've changed are the insurance policies. I know that back in sort of 2002, when I first started working in this area, the average person who was a member of, say, CBUS superannuation, which is for the construction industry, the average person in that industry fund would get a lump sum disability benefit of about $25,000. That figure now under CBUS is around about 125, I think. It's a lot more. And you know, CBUS is I suppose what you call a blue collar fund. There's a lot of workers in physical jobs, so the insurance there might not be as good as, say, a white collar fund. For example, legal super, because they're a low risk industry, you get higher insurance. If you're a member of legal super and you're under age 35, then you're automatically covered for disability benefits that are worth $440,000, I think it is. Okay, and you don't have to be, with a lot of the super funds these days, you don't, for example, legal super, you don't have to be working in the legal industry to be in legal super. Almost all of them these days are what they call public offer funds. So you can just join them once your employer has joined as a participating employer in the fund. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff to know, and the other thing is that these policies also offer life insurance as well, which means that you can get cover for those sorts of things. Does anyone have any questions about anything I've said so far? No? Cool. Yeah.
I think I had to pay extra for life insurance or disability or something, so I chose not to.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any scars then. This was later scar. I've only been diagnosed with scars in 2006, so that was long after.
Yeah.
So where do I stand?
Well, if you've joined a super fund and you've ticked the box that says, usually they have a thing which is called just the default cover, where if you just sign the bottom of the form and you don't sort of go into any great detail on the thing, then you automatically do get insurance, right? But if you tick there is a box that's almost on every form that will say, tick this box if you do not want any insurance. If you tick that box, then you won't have insurance, right? Are you still in the workforce?
No.
Yeah, you're not now? No. Okay. So, if you were still in the workforce, there'd be nothing to stop you changing the super fund that your employer contributed to, even though you suffer from scars. Okay, so you would still be able to get cover for that, even though it's a pre-existing illness. Okay. It's certainly important, I suppose, that side of things, this automatic insurance cover where you don't have to disclose your illnesses. Particularly, I suppose, it's important for the neurological groups. Yeah.
Most people that have a lot of people that have a neurological illness or suspected feel that there are insurance ramifications and that some hold back from being diagnosed because they're concerned they won't get cover.
Yeah, sure.
So you're saying that's not the case? Or if they ask you to disclose?
What I'm saying is that, no, you'd have to be honest. If anywhere they ask you to disclose, you have to disclose.
But does disclose mean I suspect or I am diagnosed?
Diagnosed. If they ask have you been diagnosed, then you have to say yes.
But what happens if you don't know?
You don't know, so you don't have to disclose. Yeah.
And do your health funds have to tell you what you're dying for?
The health fund? Oh, you mean super fund?
Super fund.
In terms of, you mean, do they have to tell you what you're covered for?
Yeah.
Well, every year you'll get your annual benefit statement, which will tell you how much money your super has earned or lost. Sorry?
You don't tell them that
Usually, yeah. I mean, certainly I've seen situations where there's been super funds who have got it wrong, where they've said there is cover when there's not, or there's not where there is. But in most cases, yeah, you will see that it will say, this is what your account balance in your super fund is, and if you were to die, this is the amount that you would be paid, and if you are permanently disabled, this is the amount. And it would actually tell you what the insurance cover that you have is. Yeah.
Paul, if you know your family has a particular scar or genetic disorder, do you have to disclose that? You have to say
no. Well, again, it depends on what you're asking. I'm talking about if you go to get a personal insurance policy, then there is I suppose it's a bit of a grey area. I suppose for things like Huntington's, where there is genetic testing, so if you're aware of the fact that your family have a history of Huntington's, your parents, and so therefore you're a chance, but you haven't personally been diagnosed. There are insurance ramifications for that, and in fact there was a memorandum of understanding in the insurance industry signed, I think it was about this time last year, about the way that they would handle that. Okay, but it depends. It's a very grey area. It depends. I'd really have to have a look at whatever policy it is you're going to get and what the questions they ask are. Because sometimes the actual wording of the disclosure is pretty specific, or sometimes it's pretty broad, so it would depend on what they've asked. Yeah.
So what's the best thing to do with regards to super for kids, the children of parents who have scars?
Well, sure. Well, I mean, I always say to anybody, irrespective of whether they have a genetic history of a disability in their family, you know, when you join the workforce, obviously you're going to be earning an income, and you're going to become accustomed to that lifestyle of having an income, right? So, I reckon that you need to plan for a situation where that's not going to exist. You know, so I always say to people when they join the workforce, they should be in a superannuation fund that offers disability insurance cover. It's there for a reason, and you know, I have to say I would have seen hundreds of cases or more where people have, for whatever reason, not got insurance, or they're in a super fund that is just an investment vehicle, so it doesn't have insurance cover, and they suffer from a really bad back injury or something. They can't work anymore, and from that point on, it's a real battle. Yeah. So, I suppose the point I'm trying to make about that is that although there are these disclosures that you have to make to insurance companies when you want to take out a personal insurance policy, those disclosure requirements aren't there if you want to join a superannuation fund that offers disability cover. And that's because the group life insurer insures the actual policy owner of the superannuation insurance is not you as a member. It's actually the super fund. The super fund pays the insurance company, you know, $40 or $50 million or whatever it is, as one giant group life insurance premium each year. And then they get that back by taking a couple of dollars a week or whatever it is out of each member's super fund, right? But what that means is that you being the member of the fund, because there are so many people in the super funds, they can spread that risk out over so many people that there is no requirement for a health disclosure in that fund. And I mean, there was actually a superannuation industry symposium a couple of weeks ago where they showed the rate of claim. Certainly the amount of people that are claiming these benefits is a tiny amount as a percentage of the population, you know. And so group life insurers are happy to do it because they're making an absolute killing out of it. And you know, that may well be because a significant portion of the population, certainly in our experience the majority, have no idea about what these insurance benefits are, what they are personally covered for, and even when they are aware, they read that the insurance is called total and permanent disability insurance, and they think that it doesn't